The Final Fantasy VII timeline starts with the first Soldier, which is a VR game that got cancelled. After that is Ever Crisis, a mobile game that I have never played. Before Crisis Follow Through being the third. Then Crisis Core or Crisis Core Reunion, which is the remaster, the original Final Fantasy, a movie after named Advent Children, a side game called Dark of Cerberus even later starring Vincent Valentine. Then we jump all the way to here in Remake, which takes place after Crisis Core but also after Advent Children due to a certain character. Finally, we make it to Final Fantasy Rebirth, the game of this video in under an hour. Now, why did I tell you all of that? To let you know that there will be spoilers regarding this game and the game ahead and some of the game before as well. Okay, so where do we start? From where we left off, of course. And that would be escaping Shinra to somehow ended up fighting Sephiroth. Or so I thought. We get a recap of what happened to the plate falling down in Sector 7, and the destruction that took place. But as the camera zoomed out, it looked more like a Mako reactor was destroyed. Then it showed a dog stamp that's different to what we were used to. It zoomed out a little more, revealing Zack carrying Cloud after he won against the Shinra soldier in Crisis Core. He was supposed to die there in the canon timeline for Cloud to become how we know him now. This is where I got really interested on how the story will play out in this game. The multiversal thing didn't happen in the original, so it gave me something to look forward to. We hit the title card and went straight in. Zack got to a telegram showing the news, and we see Barrett, Tifa, Red 13, and Aerith all unconscious. I wasn't sure if they were dead or not, but it did look that way. Zack dumped Cloud onto Courtier and ran to chase the helicopter with Aerith and Red 13. Red 13 actually woke up and got the heli to crash where Zack had to fight a couple Shinra soldiers. They were no match for Zack, of course, being fodder, and Zack even took down another heli by himself.
Bye, have a great time.
He got to Aerith and I thought she was dead with how they showed it. She even dropped a white materia of some sort.
Huh? No way, she gone too?
Then the game expects us to fully reset without any time and throws us right into a flashback from the main timeline. Cloud was telling a story of how Sephiroth became evil when he was once regarded as the hero soldier. The story goes as follows. Cloud, Sephiroth, and 3 other Shinra soldiers went to Nibelheim to investigate a broken section of the Nibel reactor. We get to play as Sephiroth for a bit, and I was pleasantly surprised for sure.
Do we play as... Oh my god, we play as Sephiroth? I did not expect this.
He is pretty fun and flashy, powerful as well, of course. We get to explore Nibelheim for a bit, and that was pretty cool because this is Cloud's hometown. We get to see an interaction with Zangan, Tifa's master, and Cloud's mother. Zangan offered to teach Cloud martial arts, and Cloud's mother teased him about girls. Pretty wholesome. You get to go into Tifa's house as well, but she'll judge you in the present time since Cloud is telling the gang everything that happens. We proceed with the story after exploring everything, and guess who showed up again?
Tifa! まだ間に合う。辞退しなさい。
その話はもうおしまい。強いソルジャーが2人もいるんだから大丈夫。
Tifa!
The 3 of us took a commemorating photo and went along with work. Along the way were monsters I had to fight. The combat felt really smooth and fun, so I welcomed the encounters. Continuing on, we got to the best part of the game, the vacuum cleaning part. That was a joke, by the way. This game is really fun and it's an action RPG, so that means most things should be fast-paced, which they are, but these slowing sections annoyed me every single time. That was my one and only rant. I will not complain again. Hey, it's me from the future. Spoilers alert, I do complain again. We get to a very unstable bridge that got struck by lightning and everybody fell into the river. Cloud and Sephiroth got their holdings and saved Tifa alongside another Shinra soldier. Unfortunately then, and fortunately now, in the present time, a Shinra soldier got swept away to never see the light of day again. Sephiroth became a party member after we moped around for a bit before getting to...
One more.
We get to a boss fight with the Material Guardian soon after. We even saw a synergy ability with Cloud and Sephiroth.
Let's use a synergy ability. Let's go. Ooh! The staggers?
It's actually pretty crazy to see all the newly added gameplay elements with Cloud and Sephiroth first, out of everyone. Well, something even more crazy to think about is that Cloud is really, you know, who for those who know. Two character not even playable for 99% of the game is showing the new stuff off first. Crazy indeed. We finally get to the Mako reactor and things were a little bit freaky in there. Incubators of test subjects lined up one after another, but the most crazy part of this place is the name at the very top of the steps. Genova. Sephiroth mentioned earlier in Nibelheim that his mother's name is Genova and that's all he knows about her, so this is the exact moment something triggered in him. He started destroying pods one after another and realizing that he was also one of these monsters inside the pods at one point. Fast forward a bit back to Nibelheim and Cloud was looking for Sephiroth and found him in the basement of the Shinra Manor. Sephiroth was reading a lot. He was consuming any information he can about Genova, so much so that he literally went insane. He threw Cloud like 30 feet across the room when Cloud tried to talk to him. This knocked Cloud out, of course. He woke up in an unknown amount of time later and was faced with a horrific sight. Nibelheim was getting burned down to a crisp. He tried to stop Sephiroth but had no strength to. The villagers tried too. Well, I guess it was trying. Honestly, I don't know what they were doing.
They're not even trying to shoot him. What is this? Shoot him! Why are you getting closer? They just pointed 4 guns at him and did absolutely nothing.
Oh, and before Cloud was knocked down, he was looking for his mother. This is one cool detail that I missed while playing, but watch this clip here. For those who don't know the original, skip to 657. But for those who do know, I thought that was Cloud saying it, like the Cloud on screen, but it sounded a bit far. It sounded more like the soldier on the ground, which makes so much more sense since that's the actual him during the event. I just find that to be such a cool little detail they added. And I know, that same soldier also sounded like Cloud every time he showed up as well, but I just think this is the coolest part for me. Anyways, Cloud chased Sephiroth back to the Mako reactor and finds Tifa next to her dead father. She tried to take revenge for him, but ended up getting taken out by Sephiroth instead. Cloud thought she was dead at that point. He confronted Sephiroth and flashback ended. Me too, Barrett. I also want to know what happened. With story time over, it's time for bed. Nothing else happened other than the diabolical way Tifa and Aerith were using their blankets. And Tifa dropping a bombshell stating Cloud was never in Nibelheim 5 years ago.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Cloud and Tifa had a talk with each other privately later on into the night. Cloud suspected Tifa in being an imposter since he thought she died, and she wanted to know where he's been for the past 5 years. She showed him her scar and said Master Zangan found her and helped her to a clinic. He doesn't remember much due to spoilers, but he just told her it's private information. She didn't like that too much and went back to bed. Then in the morning, Cloud received a gift that was more impactful than I ever thought it could be. A starter deck for Queen's Blood. For those who haven't played the game, it's a card game about putting cards down in a 3-lane board. The player with the higher score in the lane will win the lane, thus receiving the winning lane score as chips at the end. It doesn't matter how much higher your score is in that lane, you will receive the exact amount of chips your score is. The winning condition is to have a higher amount of chips than your opponent by the end. That wasn't the best explanation, but you have to play it to fully understand it. For those of you who did play the game and played Queen's Blood to the very end, I went through the entire storyline and became a Blood Queen champion using the replacement deck around the Joker cards. Now back to the main story. We explored the town for a bit and interacted with all our party members. We did some side quests which leveled up our relationships with them. We went on a mini date with Aerith until Shinra showed up to find us. With the help of the innkeeper, or Broden, we sneak away back into the inn and met up with the rest of the group in an underground tunnel. Through the tunnel, we make it to the open world part of the game. This is where the game lets you loose. They give you a destination to go to, but anything in between you want to do, go do it. I went and got some treasure caches and fought some monster before getting to a swamp. We can't swim across due to a deadly Midgar swarmer and was pressured to renting a chocobo for the job.
どうする？チョコボ乗る？乗る？
Peer pressured into renting one.
行ってみよう。
We get to a chocobo farm to discover no chocobos are on sale, but there was one that ran off, so if we manage to find and catch him, We get him for free. We even got some of his favorite snacks for free. We get to where the chocobo was last seen and had to play a stealth mini-game to capture him. It wasn't difficult at all. You sneak around in bushes while throwing rocks to distract the other chocobos. We captured him easily and he ran back to the farm. Billy, the chocobo tamer, needed a minute to gear him up for riding. We walked outside the barn and found Chadley, a cyborg created by Hojo to study the world. He wanted our help to do a few things for him, like activating towers, gathering intel on enemies, analyzing life springs, and defeating rare enemies that are stronger than the usual ones. We accepted his quest and went back to Billy. Billy taught us how to ride a chocobo and we were fully free to do everything in this region. Everything consists of what I mentioned before plus side quests. Of course, I wouldn't subjugate myself to doing everything, right? I mean, it's just too much. Take a look at those circles. It'll take up way too much time. I fucking did everything. After that grind, we make it back to the swamp and crossed it. Ropemen made an appearance from Remake and it looks like they're also looking for Sephiroth. Not surprisingly, the Midgar Stormer ambushed us for a boss fight. The fight wasn't too hard either, but took some time. I played on the dynamic difficulty, so no matter how much I grind, the fights will always scale up to my level and it never felt easy. It just felt doable, if that's a word. Yay, it's a word and I'm not stupid. We defeated the boss and we all leveled up. Except we didn't and he almost killed Cloud by submerging him into the swamp. How is the swamp so deep even though we were standing completely fine during the fight? I will never know. Sephiroth appeared out of nowhere and saved Cloud, showing us the strength between them. Cloud was fished out of the swamp and woke up to continue forward. Our next journey leads us through a mine full of monsters and resources. The party gets separated to force the player into playing different characters instead of Cloud. This happens almost through every dungeon in the game. The reason for separating is because Tifa wanted to help the Cloak people, but Cloud just wants to chase Sephiroth. Barret and Red 13 split off from the group. Cloud and his girlfriends proceed on fighting small monsters until they run into the Tusk. We fight all of them in this game, but the first fight is against Elena and Rude. This fight was pretty easy. Go for Elena and then Rude after. She's very aggressive, so Punisher mode is very effective here. Rude doesn't take much effort to take down either. He charges up big attacks, but you can dodge them pretty easily since they're so slow. The fight ended with Barret and Red 13 showing back up. Sung is here too. We had the Tusk within our grasp until Elena threw a grenade separating us again. This time, we fully play as Barret and Red 13. Their section of the game is not bad. It's basically the same as Cloud, but with a gun to collect resources. The end of the dungeon for them is a Mithril Golem that tanked a bit, but was still pretty easy. The entire party met back up and we make it to the second region of the game, Junon. This region also have its own set of challenges that I don't need to complete, and I won't since it's so much work for the first region. Surely I wouldn't. Let's just move on with the story. We head to Under Junon, the town for this region, and the goal is still following the Black Road people. But there was only one thing that got my blood pumping. Oh, it's free time. Yes! Junon's Blood Queen! Blood Queen! Or Queen Blood. Why do I keep saying Blood Queen? Queen Blood player, let's go. Of course, I kicked all the players' asses in this region before fighting a fish monster to save Yuffie, a Wutai ninja that we'll know more about later on. After spamming endless Firebolt Blade, Nemo went down. There was even an assist from the local dolphin.
I was going at it. Let's go! Dolphin synergy! Man, I think Noctis is cool as fuck, but Cloud's also cool as fuck.
よくやった
That was a tough battle, but not tough enough for us. Still, we needed to rest, so we did just that. Woken up by Yuffie in the morning as she introduced herself to us. Thankfully, she was interrupted though, because we could have stayed there the entire day. Not thankfully, it was Roach that interrupted her. Another soldier that is hell-bent on fighting Cloud. I thought it was going to be another boss fight, but instead he told us to meet him up top for a better arena showdown. It's a bit of a crazy idea to go up there since that was Shinra's headquarters, but we did so anyway. How do we do that, you ask? Well, we can't just walk up there and use the elevator. We're wanted criminals in Shinra's eyes. The most logical thing we can do is, of course, to play Fall Guys as Toads. No, I'm just joking with you. That's not how we got up there. We got up with Cloud riding a dolphin to then jump off said dolphin to reach a crane. He lowers a ship with that crane for the rest of the crew to get on. He then raised the crane afterwards for them to infiltrate Shinra's headquarters. With all the noises they're making, infiltrating is not even the correct term for it, but that's what they did apparently. Also, I just want to make one thing clear. They did play Fall Guys as Toads, but for a side mission instead of the actual mission. Whoa! Whoa! Get under! Jump! Whoa! Jesus Christ! Get under! God damn. And then they actually rode the fucking elevator all the way to the top, passing by countless Shinra soldiers. They get to their destination to only then decide they needed a disguise. They were almost found out by the commander, so Cloud had to perform a military dance to prove he is part of Shinra's military. He performed it perfect to the T, which makes sense. But how the fuck did Tifa and Aerith did it? I could believe Tifa would maybe get a B or an A grade at the most while copying Cloud, but zero chance they don't mess up at least once, while also bypassing the fact that Aerith definitely would have failed after the first beat. Anyways, they did so well that Cloud was promoted to captain status, and he needed to gather up his squad and put on a Fortnite dance party to welcome Rufus as the new leader of Shinra. The party went smoothly, and the 7th Infantry Division was awarded the commendation reward by Rufus himself. Rufus then invited all 3 of them to make a deal in regards to chasing Sephiroth. The deal is as follows. Cloud and friends continue chasing Sephiroth, and Shinra will erase them as criminals. Sounds like a good deal to me. But then suddenly Yuffie stepped in, attempting to assassinate Rufus. Understandingly, Rufus thought Cloud planned the attack. He tried to explain he didn't, but there was no chance given. The group's objective now is to escape. Cloud instructed the party to go ahead while he throws the other Shinra soldiers off their scent. He guided a group of 7th Infantry soldiers all the way to an arena where he took on Roche. Cloud won every fight before, so this was no different. He met back up with Tifa and them afterwards, and they got on a yacht to escape. There isn't much to talk about regarding the yacht activities. There was a Queen's Blood tournament as filler, and Madame M alongside Andrea made an appearance. Nighttime was when the action happened. Hojo sent his experiment out to fuse with the rope men, creating a more dangerous enemy. These guys were a bit harder to defeat, but not by much. The only tough one created was the boss of this chapter. A group of rope men fused together and Sephiroth appeared. He then transformed again to become Genova Immersion. Still, it was no issue for Team Cloud, and they defeated the boss with ease. Morning came and we make it to Hawaii. I mean Costa del Sol. Although we will be in Hawaii for my next video, so stay tuned for that. More filler activities filled my playtime, like a whole arc for Johnny's broken down hotel, arcade games, dress up, piano, Red 13 soccer, and of course, more Queen's Blood. They better put this minigame in part 3. Then returning back to the story, we fought a machine trying to capture rope men and our friends. Hojo's the one behind the robot. Everybody got captured but was saved by Yuffie and Johnny. Yeah, she was on the yacht too. Thanks to that, we let her join the party. Next up on the checklist is getting to the reactor of this region. We get to Mount Koro and was forced to hike up due to an out-of-service gondola lift. The game then forced Tifa, Yuffie, and Barret to split up from the group due to Yuffie being impatient for the materia up top. Aerith had to slow down, so Cloud and Red 13 stayed with her. We fought another Hojo robot midway. It actually took a bit to defeat this boss because I didn't have any build for Aerith and Red 13 at all. Difficult, but we still managed to beat it at the end. The game took an unexpected turn and gave us a look at what Zack's up to in the alternate timeline. He's currently taking care of Cloud and Aerith in that timeline, with the help of Elmira. We snap back to our original timeline to continue with the story after. The group met back up with each other, and we get our first look at a weapon. Weapons are creatures that only appeared when the planet is in danger. They're basically the guardians of the planet. The group moved forward until Cloud was not able to. We then split off again, but this time we play as the other 3. Nothing interesting happens until we get to the end and fight a boss. This is basically the recipe for this game. Groups split up, you get to use the character that's in the control to solve puzzles revolving them, fight boss at the end of set piece, and that's about it. I would have liked it more if they minimalized the dungeons and made it so you could switch characters on the go to solve puzzles. That might have been too chaotic or something, but that way you can eliminate so much tedious dungeon crawling, and I'm not gonna lie, they got tedious real fast. I hope this is something they improve on in the next game. A lot of quantity over quality in these gameplay decisions. Rant over. We go back to Cloud to help Yuffie lower the bridge for them to have a roller coaster ride. They have their fun and we meet back up to explore Barret's hometown. The people here hates him due to an incident involving Shinra a long time ago. That incident caused Barret to lose his hand and also losing his best friend dying. Dying will come back up later. Quickly getting the F out of here because F this place. We get on a working gondola to get to the Gold Saucer. This place is basically Disneyland or Universal Studios. It's not filler, but at the same time, a bunch of filler. I don't mind the filler in this place though. They're all optional, so it's not forced. We met Dia. I'm sorry. I had to do it. We play a boxing mini game with him and proceeded to the haunted hotel. There was no rooms available, but the mascot cat Sith decided to open one up for us. He's being weirdly nice for some reason. We play as Zack again after Cloud falls asleep, and the gang here is talking about Biggs. Zack don't meet up with him just yet though. Cloud wakes up to go on a date with Tifa until Shinra soldiers were found dead due to a man with a gun for an arm. The description sounds a lot like Barrett, but the Barrett we know would never randomly gun down Shinra soldiers. Or would he? We rode an elevator down to look for Barrett, but was ambushed by Gus and his men. They captured Tifa and the rest of the group until Cloud helped Gus win big in a chocobo race. Billy is here too with his chocobo, and that's who we rode for the race. Being an expert in Mario Kart, I won easily. Gus also captured a man with a gun as an arm and locked him up at a scrapyard. We got near the area and found Barrett scouting nearby. We discovered he wasn't behind the crime, of course, and he told us everything about the incident in his hometown. 4 years ago, Shinra blew up the coral reactor and tried to get rid of everything nearby, so they set his hometown on fire. Barrett and Dyne went to check it out, but by the time they got back, it was far too late. Scarlet and her men ambushed the two of them and shot their arms off. Barrett's right and Dyne's left. Barrett was saved by the local doctor, but Dyne fell into the cave. Barrett thought Dyne was dead, but it turns out he survived and even had the same idea as Barrett for the arm replacement. The two of them could have had a happy reunion, but Dyne was convinced that Barrett let him die to have a future with Dyne's wife and child. That's not the case at all, but Dyne isn't having any of it, and he fought with Barrett in a 1v1 battle. Barrett won and almost snapped Dyne out of it. That could have been it until Shinra arrived to ruin everything. They shot at both Dyne and Barrett, but Dyne sacrificed himself to save Barrett. Cloud and the other also fought Palmer and a robot, but that had no emotions attached to it, so I don't even care about it. Cloud beat him and Rude appeared. Thankfully, Dio came as well and gave Cloud his buggy to escape. Dio needed proof that Barrett wasn't the killer and he got it. We escaped with the buggy and saw the scenario of Zack finding Biggs. He found him, but more cliffhangers. After that wild ride full of emotions enough to make a grown man cry, Kate Sif suggests we go south towards Gongaga for the reactor there. He also joins the party in the process. The buggy given to us was very helpful in getting to Gongaga, but we have to go back to traveling on foot through the lively jungle region. We're not going to head straight to the reactor, however. We needed to rest and Kate Sif knew a village here. We get to the village and we meet Cisnel, the coalition captain. She wasn't very welcoming at first, but dropped all offenses when she realized we're not dangerous. She even showed us around the place and welcomed us to use her home as a resting spot. Before we rest, however, we found out of going to a stranger's home, so we checked up with her to make sure she's alright. It turns out the home she went into was Zack's home, and she was talking to his parents. They asked Cloud if he knew Zack since they're both soldiers, but Cloud doesn't seem to remember his past at all, so he denies knowing Zack. We went to rest after that event. Woken up by a sound from the reactor 3 hours later, we met up with the rest of the party. Apparently they'd been seeing whispers flying around the reactor, so something big must be happening there. The party then decided to have Cloud, Barrett, K-Sif, and Red 13 go check out what's going on. We make it to the reactor, and after exploring the entire thing, we come face to face with Scarlet and her ingrown monsters to fight. The first couple weren't boss levels, but a boss definitely appeared afterwards. Defeating the specimen caused Scarlet to attack with her Gundam robot, and that caused the three girls to take action. Getting there using the same route, they got a boss fight of their own with Scarlet. It was not much of a challenge though, since all Scarlet had was a robot and they have magical abilities. Scarlet was not done after being defeated, however, and was still trying to capture the weapon in the Mako. Tifa tried to stop her, but was put in a situation where she couldn't get out of. Cloud saw and ran to her rescue. Suddenly, Cloud's soldier degradation started to act up, causing him to violently eliminate all Shinra soldiers in his way. Tifa eventually gets to safety and Scarlet was stopped by the whispers. Cloud doesn't stop his rampage though, and even attacks Tifa after being manipulated by the Sephiroth in his head. Tifa fell into the Mako and was saved by the weapon. She went through memory lane there while also finding out that there are two types of whispers, the white one from the weapon and the black ones from Sephiroth. The two are currently fighting, but the reason as to why is unclear. There is a place we can get that answer, and that's in Cosmo Canyon, Red 13's home. It was gonna be quite a journey on foot, so Cisnel gave us a little tip to speed things up. A free flyer pilot can take us. All we have to do is travel to the nearby airship field and light a fire to send a smoke signal. We did just that, and down came Sid Highwind, president and pilot of Bronco Airlines. He can get us to Cosmo Canyon easily in his plane, and with only a measly 1,000 guild. What a steal! We got to Cosmo fairly quickly, so it was time to get back on foot. New area and new stuff to explore. You know what that means. You thought I was gonna do the same joke 3 times? How predictable do you think I am? Sometimes a little predictability is not that bad. Let's get back to the story. We traveled to Red 13's village and everybody was excited to see him. Red then ran off to his master, Bugenhagen, or as I like to call him, Hagen-Dazs. We chased after him since that's the only guy in town that knows anything about the ancients. He then showed us around his laboratory and even a cool ass 3D projection presentation about the life stream of the planet. He made us then attend a little ceremony before taking us to a dungeon for Red 13, or his real name, Nanaki, to overcome his trial as a guardian. Nanaki and Barrett went at it alone. They cleared the dungeon easily, of course, since I'm in control. A bombshell then dropped right onto Nanaki's face. Well, a truth bombshell. See, he always thought his dad ran away when fighting a war a long time ago, leaving Nanaki and his mom to defend the village. But the truth is, his dad never ran away. He took the enemies on alone to protect the whole village, Nanaki and mom as well. He was just petrified after a poison arrow hit him, so he stayed in the spot deep inside the dungeon all this time. After he learned the truth, he couldn't be more proud of his dad. After that emotional ending to Nanaki's backstory, we take a little detour to explore the Gi people, the ones Nanaki's father was at war with. Before we get into it, however, we're tossed back into Zack's conversation with Biggs. It turns out, in our main timeline, they did die, but the Biggs and Zack here experienced an event that brought them to another timeline via the Whispers. They couldn't find a better way of calling it except a miracle. They ended that conversation there and we resumed the journey with Gi Natak. He taught us their backstory and how they all want to die but can't. The only way to pass on is by getting a hold of the black materia, and he wants us to retrieve it for them. Lion, of course, we agreed. We get teleported back to Cosmo Canyon where we found one of the robed men weak on the ground. The only thing he could say was Nibelheim, the place where Tifa and Cloud grew up in. Kasif said there's a terminal there, so the black materia might be there. Well, there was a terminal there. It should have been destroyed years ago. Kasif begged us to trust him, so we did. The only way to get there will be in air, so back to Sid we go. We lit up another campfire and got to Nibelheim within 2 cutscenes. New area and more shit to do. I'm not even gonna fake you guys out on this, so here you go. I promise you, this is not the reason why this video took so long to edit. We get to Nibelheim village and was shocked by what we discovered. Everything was brand new. Shinra rebuilt the whole place to cover up the incident 5 years ago. Filled with questions, we ran to the Mako reactor for answers. Only Cloud, Tifa, and Yuffie win, while the rest of the party stay behind. We get to the newly built bridge, where Cloud remembers the Shinra soldier getting swept away back then was Zack. For those who know, you know. For those who don't, you'll find out in the third game. We get all the way to the room that kept Genova and found an employee ID. We sent that ID back to Kasif via a Skype call so he can access the terminal under the mayor's manor. And I just have to let it out. This part of the game sucks. You play as Kasif with his slow-ass mechanic to throw boxes, his dumb fighting style, and the worst part is, you can only play as him in a super difficult fight. When you play the section of other characters, you can still switch to another character you use. For example, you can play as Barrett in Red 13's part, Tifa or Barrett in Yuffie's part, but for Kasif, you can only do that at the very end of his part. I died to these dumbass weight balance machine for 20 minutes straight. Then, after that, I fought a mini boss with only him again. I didn't die as much, but it was just as bad. I just pray they don't give Kasif another section in the next game, or at least make it so somebody else go with him. Anyways, we finished the section off with a boss fight, of course, and the group reunited together in front of the library Sephiroth was in. We couldn't get in, however. It needed an unlock from the local vampire, Vincent Valentine. I thought we had to fight him, but he was pretty chill about it and gave us access to the library after showing him the employee ID card. Cloud wandered into the wrong room and made Vincent pretty upset, so I guess we are fighting him after all. He had a pretty sick transformation, but we still beat him pretty easily. Kasif then asked him to join us, which he refuses and went back into slumber. We got out of the manor and was ambushed by Roche once again. He challenged us to another fight, which resulted in the same conclusion as before. He then transformed into one of the robed men right in front of us. Soldier degradation in action. We better move fast before Cloud get the same treatment. The next destination is back to the saucer because we need a keystone in order to access an ancient temple, and Dio is the only one with it. Oh, and Valentine changed his mind. He has history with Sephiroth and wants to get rid of him as well. We find Dio and ask him about the keystone. He'll let us have it on one condition. We help him defeat Corneo's fighters in the upcoming tournament for the Gold Saucer. We don't have all the time on our hands, but we don't really have much of a choice either. We agreed and went to rest for the night. We go back to Zack's timeline and Marin is saying he must wake Cloud up before Aerith wakes up. Zack asks why and she says something he never expected. She said Aerith is going to die and Cloud can't save her if she's asleep. What's even crazier is that she says she's solid. How? Like how? Even to the people that knows the original story already. Where in the timeline is this Marin from? She even described Sephiroth perfectly to Zack. That prompts Zack to take off for Hojo's lap. We get back to the main timeline for a VR show starring us before starting the tournament for Dio. Aerith was the star of the show, and I can't even show you the song she sang due to copyright reasons, but go give it a listen if you haven't. We get back on track for the tournament and beat everything Corneo threw at us, even the monster he teamed up with. We won and was about to get our hands on the keystone before the Tusk interrupted us. They stole it, but it wasn't even enough to stop us. We cornered them and was about to get it back. Oh look, K-Sif is asking for it and Rue just threw it at him. I guess we got it back that easily. Hey yo, where is he going? Well, I guess that's what happens when you trust a Shinra employee. We still have to deal with the Tusk, so Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith stayed for a rematch while the rest of the party chased them. Bad news for the Tusk, however, this set is going 2-0 after we defeat them again. Then Rufus himself, the Shinra president, showed up for a 1v1 against Cloud. I'm not gonna lie, this fight was pretty tough. I had to rely on parry blocks to beat him, so I couldn't turn my brain off like the other fights. Still more fun than K-Sif section though. I defeated Rufus and joined up with the rest of the party to look for K-Sif. We witnessed him hand over the key to Sung and they took off to the temple. There wasn't anything we can do about it and the whole party was pissed. Kate was kicked off the team of course, and we had no choice but to just follow the Tusk by plane. Well, a boat that used to be a plane since Sid converted it earlier when it broke down. We were able to track them down due to Vincent knowing the frequency Shinra uses on their radio. His former Tusk job came in handy. We followed him to the temple and had to make it through fighting waves and waves of Shinra soldiers. Had to do some gravity puzzle and fought some ancient monsters too. We were separated again midway through the temple due to Aerith's ancient ability to raise a platform without the whole party on it. Just saying, they all could have been on that platform. The game just wants us to play with different characters. Anyways, both mini parties now have to go to the temple with their own puzzles and own boss fight at the end. Cloud had this ball block thing he has to push in front of life streams to pass. Aerith had to collect life stream energy to access new areas. Cloud's boss fight was against Rude and Reno, while Aerith was against Sung and Elena. Not much different from the Tusk fight earlier for both parties, and they ended up at the same spot in the end. Cloud almost killed Elena afterwards, if not for Tifa. Sung was then stabbed by Sephiroth before getting out of there. The party then had to go into a room of their own to face their nightmares. Nanaki is about his experiment with Hojo, Tifa was the death of her father, Yuffie was the death of Sono from the first game's DLC, Aerith was losing his love Myrna from the incidents where he lost his arm, Aerith was her mother's death at the train station. Cloud didn't have one. Everybody came out depressed and sad, which makes sense, so Aerith tried to cheer everybody up, but Cloud's cold-hearted ass really had the audacity to say this.
話は終わったか。時間がない。急ごう。
I know he has that soldier degeneration going on, but damn, I just want to chew the shit out of him at this moment. We continue through the temple learning more about the Cetras or the Ancients before a fight with a monster coming out of a wall. We defeated him and our reward was the almighty black materia. The temple started to fall apart due to the black materia being taken away, but out of nowhere, K-Sif came to save the day. He held up the pedestal that was falling down to buy us time to run out. His noble sacrifice will be remembered, except he's a robot so there's an infinite amount of him. Sephiroth then started to control Cloud and he only broke out of it before nearly getting Aerith killed. Sephiroth then sent them both tumbling down the falling temple, which caused them to jump to Zack's timeline. They then had a little date before getting back to the main timeline where the final battle took place. We get to the iconic place of Final Fantasy VII, the place that we OG fans wanted to change, the place where Aerith was taken from us once already. This time we will stop it, and we did. Cloud stopped Sephiroth from killing Aerith this time. He... As you can see, we did not stop Sephiroth, but we still had to defeat him. And that launches us into the final battle of part 2. The fight started with Genova Lifeklinger, after that was Sephiroth with Zack at our side, Bahamut was next, then back to Sephiroth but as a different form as Sephiroth Reborn. Finally, Aerith joins us into the battle against Sephiroth himself. With my editing, it seems like the fight was pretty quick, but counting up all of his phases together, it was at least an hour long. It was a long and hard fought battle, but we came out on top. Sephiroth left and that was the end. Aerith was gone too. Everyone knows that, but something was a little off with Cloud. He could still see her. Whether he's gone crazy or this is his soldier degradation eating him away, we won't know till the next game. But one thing's for sure, our team's journey is not ending just yet.
これでどうだ。
ナイス。
でエアリスは結局何をしたんだ。あよーし、空が待ってるぜ。
にゃん。なんだよ。エアリス。クロマテリア。リユニオン。
さあ、乗った乗った。
ああ、今行く。
空見ないでね。
空を見るな。
あ？なこと言われたら見るだろう。
見てもいいけど気にするな。
なんもねえぞ。
あれは幻、幻想だ。さあ北へ行こう。セフィロスを倒すんだ。
北？
俺にはあいつがわかる。ソルジャー同士だからな。
あらクラウド頼もし
いいだろう。お前にかけるぜ。俺たちの大事なもん一切合切だ。かなり重いから覚悟しろよ。
何をつぶって？あんまり重いのはしてるからな。
心配するな。俺が拾ってやる。
いってらっしゃい。
帰りは大丈夫なのか？
大丈夫じゃないって言ったらここセトラの場所だからね。
そうか。でももし何かあったら。
のろしあげちゃう。
分かった。見逃さない。
私いっぱい祈ってメテオを食い止める。だからクラウドも頑張って。
ああ。急いでセフィロスを探し出して倒す。
きっとだよ。
きっとだ。
Thank you so much and congratulations for making it to the end of the video. I know this one took a while, but hopefully the next one don't do the same. Overall, I think the game is very fun and would recommend it. There's a ton of things to do, and that's part of the reason why it took so long for this video to come out. I hope the next one will be just as good, if not better than this one. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it so it gets on other people's pages and they'll be able to see it as well. Any comments would also be appreciated. I'll let you go now, and once again, thank you. That +1 on the view counter means a lot more to me than you'll ever know. Take care, everybody.